One bite. That's a big one. Hey, hey.
Angels up in the clouds are jealous, no we found.
Thomas pulled into his driveway after a quick grocery run when he heard it, a soft whimper cutting through the evening silence. He froze, looked down. There, wedged beneath his car, trembling like a leaf in a hurricane, was a Goldendoodle puppy. Matted fur, tiny body shaking, eyes locked on his, pleading. Thomas crouched down slowly, extended his hand, and the pup crawled forward. Closer, 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 until it collapsed into his palm. Standing there, holding this tiny, broken creature, Thomas knew with absolute certainty this wasn't random. This was fate knocking. And he knew exactly who needed this little soul more than anyone else in the world. Thomas couldn't sleep that night. The puppy curled up on a blanket, but Thomas sat awake, staring at his phone. On the screen, his daughter Kiara's last text. "I'm fine, Dad, just tired." But he knew better. Kiara had moved 2 states away 6 months ago to teach dance in a city where she knew no one. Every phone call lately, "I can't connect with anyone here. I come home and just sit. I feel empty." Depression had wrapped its fingers around his daughter, and he was 200 miles away, powerless. But looking at this scruffy Goldendoodle watching him with hopeful eyes, something clicked. Kiara had loved dogs growing up, 2 golden retrievers who'd been her shadows. When they passed, she'd sobbed for weeks and sworn she'd never get another dog. "I can't go through that pain again, Dad." That was 4 years ago, but this puppy was different. Thomas grabbed his keys at 6 a.m., loaded the pup into his car, and drove. No call, no warning. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed yet, I have to say I'm a little heartbroken. Stories like this need your support. Hit that subscribe button right now. You won't regret it. 2 hours later, Thomas knocked on Kiara's apartment door. When she opened it, pajamas, messy hair, tired eyes, Thomas saw the weight she'd been carrying. "Dad, what are you—" He didn't let her finish. He pulled out the puppy and placed it directly into her arms. "This is going to fix everything." Then he left. Kiara stood frozen, staring at this tiny ball of fluff squirming in her arms. Her heart hammered. She wasn't ready. She'd spent 4 years building walls to protect herself from this feeling. But the puppy looked up with eyes so pure, so desperate for love, that something inside Kiara cracked wide open. Kiara carried the puppy inside and set it down in her living room. It wobbled on unsteady legs, exploring, sniffing, tail wagging like pure joy. Kiara sat on the couch, arms crossed. "What am I supposed to do with you?" But the puppy didn't care. It trotted over, climbed onto her lap with clumsy determination, and pressed its nose against her chest. Just sat there, breathing, trusting. Kiara's breath hitched. Over the next few days, the puppy refused to let Kiara stay isolated. Every morning, it woke her by licking her face. Every evening, it followed her like a shadow, pressing against her legs. And then came the dancing. Kiara was in her kitchen one afternoon, swaying to music while cooking, when the puppy suddenly stood on its hind legs and lifted its front paws toward her, like it wanted to dance. Kiara froze. "Are you asking me to dance?" The tail wagged harder. Kiara laughed. Actually laughed, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in months. She took the puppy's paws and swayed. The puppy followed her rhythm, wobbling but determined. That night, she gave him a name. "Keith?" The puppy's tail thumped once. "Yeah, you're Keith." From that moment, Keith became her constant companion. He followed her to the studio, waited while she taught, then danced with her at home. He demanded her lap constantly, climbing up even when too big, pressing his face into her neck. "I'm here. You're not alone." Kiara started smiling again, started sleeping better, started calling her dad just to share Keith's antics instead of listing her emptiness. Keith didn't just fill the loneliness, he obliterated it. Keith is a year and a half old now, a massive ball of fluffy energy who still believes he's that tiny puppy. He still lifts his front paws every time Kiara plays music, waiting for her to take his paws and dance. He still climbs into her lap, all 80 pounds of him, and refuses to move until she holds him close. Kiara doesn't have the heart to say no. Every evening, they dance together in her tiny apartment, Kiara laughing, Keith's tail wagging, both lost in a rhythm that feels less like choreography and more like healing. Time doesn't drag anymore. Kiara teaches her classes with forgotten energy, comes home to Keith's excited barks, and feels contentment she hadn't felt in years. Her apartment isn't empty anymore. It's filled with Keith's toys scattered across the floor, his favorite blanket permanently claiming half the couch, his presence turning 4 walls into a home. Some mornings, Kiara wakes to find Keith already awake, sitting beside her bed, watching her with those same deep, hopeful eyes from that first day, tail thumping softly against the floor as if to say, "I'm still here. I'll always be here." Her students notice the change too. "Miss Kiara, you seem so much happier lately," one of them said last week. Kiara just smiled, thinking of the scruffy Goldendoodle waiting for her at home, already planning their evening dance session. She called her dad recently, voice thick with emotion. "Dad, I don't know how you knew, but thank you. Keith saved me." Thomas smiled. "I didn't save you, sweetheart. Keith did. I just made the introduction." And he was right. Keith didn't just become Kiara's dog, he became her lifeline, her dance partner, her proof that sometimes the universe knows exactly what you need, even when you're convinced you don't need anything at all. Kiara looks at Keith now, sprawled across her couch, paws twitching in his sleep, and thinks about that day her dad showed up. She thinks about how close she came to saying no, and she thinks about how grateful she is that Keith never gave her the choice. He chose her, and in doing so, he gave her back her life. If this story touched your heart and you're still not subscribed, please don't wait any longer. Hit that subscribe button. What would you name a dog that saved your life? Drop your ideas in the comments. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these incredible stories.